this is Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. When I was in high school, in grade 10, I became the leader of the Christian group inside my high school. And we met every single week, and there was only maybe 10 to 20 of us. 20 would be at the high end. It wasn't a very big group. It was pretty small. And it grew just a little bit. In grade 11, in the second semester, after I had been leading that for, say, a year and a half, someone announced that they were beginning a Christian group for my high school. I showed up to see, what they were planning and to see if we could cooperate somehow. And the room was completely filled. They had to go to the largest classroom in my high school. They were all from the same church, and they brought their youth pastor out as their guest speaker. And I was instantly jealous. I was thinking, where were all you for the last year and a half? Jealousy got the better of me. And I stopped leading my own group so that everyone could be a part of this new thing since it was so spectacular. But the new group was all hype, and it quickly folded, and I never saw their youth leader again, and I never saw this group come back to school. It just plain folded. I had a crisis of influence. I didn't believe I had enough influence to make a difference, so I walked away from leading the thing, and no one else stepped up, even through my last year of high school. Okay, enough about me. What about you? Can you think of one of your earlier leadership positions as a teenager or as a young adult? Do you remember how things went for you? If you're watching with someone, would you please pause the video and share your story of your first leadership position and how you think it went? This video is based on my interpretation of 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 7. In this text, I think the focus is on influence. Leadership is influence. I think the focus is on influence. There are people who have influence, and then there are those who don't. I think this text is all about telling us something about influence. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 7. And now a word to you who are elders in the churches. I too am an elder and a witness to the sufferings of Christ, and I too will share in his glory when he's revealed to the whole world. As a fellow elder, I appeal to you. Care for the flock that God has entrusted to you. Watch over it willingly, not grudgingly. Not for what you will get out of it, but because you are eager to serve God. Don't lord it over the people assigned to your care, but lead them by your own good example. And when the great shepherd appears, you will receive a crown of never-ending glory and honor. In the same way, you who are younger must accept the authority of the elders. And all of you dress yourselves in humility as you relate to one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time, he will lift you up in honor. Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you.
Hey kids, don't forget to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ. See ya!
Here's what I want to talk about in this video regarding this text. How to live as a person with or without influence. This is all about influence. There are two groups of people who are addressed in this text. Those with influence, which Peter calls the elders, and those without, which Peter calls the younger people. What we see here are words of wisdom, some common sense to help us understand how to live as people who do or do not have influence. So there's 2 points I want to share with you about how to live with and how to live without influence. First, let's look at how to live with influence. The text says, a word to you who are elders in the churches. Care for the flock that God has entrusted to you. Watch over it willingly, not grudgingly, not for what you will get out of it, but because you are eager to serve God. Don't lord it over the people assigned to your care, but lead them by your own good example. I think I'm hearing that those under our care are anyone within our circle of influence as a Jesus follower. Yes, it's intended for leaders in a church group. However, church groups back then, when this was written, were not what they are today. People didn't go to church as much as people showed up as the church back when this was written. Any person or small group of people count as a group that is under your care as an elder if you're the person that has the influence. You are the church. You don't go to church. So as the church, you are caring for the people around you that God has given you access to. So how do we act toward people who may want to listen to us as we talk about God? Well, we care about them. We treat them as friends rather than considering what they can give us. We're eager to serve God by serving them. We don't go on a power trip. We lead by our example, so we model what it means to follow Jesus, and we look forward to the reward that Jesus is bringing with him. So really simple. We don't have to carry too much anxiety with us when we know that there are people around us who may be able to talk with us about Jesus, and we may have some kind of influence with them. Don't ruin it by making it weird. Just play it cool, man. Just be friends. They're not giving you any reward for helping them. Jesus is giving you the reward, so just play it cool. Just be their friend and act like a normal person. This applies to anyone who has roles in for community as well. We're here to care for each other. We're here to care for the people around us. If you are a person of influence in any capacity at all, don't go weird about it. Just be a normal, decent human being to the people that are under your care. Here's the point number 2, how to live without influence. The text says, dress yourselves in humility as you relate to one another. Humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time, he will lift you up in honor. I think I'm hearing some good advice for younger people, or those who simply don't have a lot of influence. If you don't have a lot of influence, it may just be a timing thing. It may just be that you don't have a long enough track record, not enough experience yet. You're not old enough yet. You haven't been in your group long enough. Whatever, it may be a timing thing. There is really no difference between you, who you are now, and who you will be when you have influence. You'll still need to treat people well, and you'll still need to care for them. The you that you are now is the you that you're going to be when you have influence, so just work on the you that you are now. It means that you live with humility and don't stress out over people who are in places of influence over you. They're not better than you just because they have influence over you, and you're not going to get to their level as someone who doesn't care about them or the people around you. Even if you're an entrepreneur, and even if you're self-made, if you're not serving someone, you're not successful, which means you need to work on your people skills even right now with no influence. If you're not caring about the people who are around you and serve them in humility, then your income is at risk, even as a self-made entrepreneur. The way you live your life and the respect you show for the people who have influence over you really matters. So the message here is for you to keep in mind that this is probably a timing thing. You're going to grow into more influence. Okay, you don't have it right now, but that's okay, you're going to. You may just not be ready yet because maybe you're too young, maybe you don't know the people around you enough, maybe you haven't really developed the chops for serving yet. Who knows what it is? It's all about skills development. It's all about just growing and moving forward. Just have fun while you can have fun. It will come. Treat people around you, namely those above you who have influence above you, really well. They had to wait for their time to come. Now you're waiting for your time to come, and it will come. Influence doesn't make you a different person. It just means you're accountable to a whole lot more people than you are right now. So work on yourself right now and make sure you're awesome at working with other people and caring for other people right now, so that when you have more influence, you're going to be ready for it and you're not going to drop the ball and hurt somebody. Here's a summary. This passage is a great summary of 2 groups of people who have the same challenge. The older group of people has the challenge of discerning what to do with the influence that they have. The younger group of people has the challenge of discerning what to do when the people around you have all of the influence and you have very little. In both cases, the simple advice is just this. Just be a decent person who lives in humility and cares about the people around you, because with or without influence, you're still you. Influence doesn't change who you are. So be the best you that you can be regardless of your influence by caring about the people around you and living in a way that looks forward to your validation coming from Jesus. Your level of influence is not going to find you any more validation. Your validation comes from Jesus coming. When he comes back and looks at you and says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Would you please ask for the link? We're meeting this Sunday on Zoom. Also, we're meeting this Sunday at the Beaton Community Center. It's going to be mostly focused on kids and younger families. So if you've got kids and younger families, the Beaton Community Center thing, that's mostly for you. If you would like to contribute, would you please go to the show notes down below and click on that link for community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.